Welcome back to the Pot of Greed.
Welcome back indeed, folks. It's another week, and that means that we're here to provide you with the one and only Yu-Gi-Oh! Podcast on the internet.
That's right, and shout out to our over 60 channel members, the guys who make this podcast possible. Y'all are the real champions of this pod.
Yeah, 60.
Paul and I, we don't even matter.
Yeah, these chairs could be empty, but with the 60 of you, it's still a podcast.
Just be careful. These chairs do produce static electricity, and you will get shocked.
Yeah, we've found out the hard way. Also, we have over 96,000 subscribers on this YouTube channel, APS Amplifier, which means we're closing in pretty quickly on 100K, which would be really awesome.
Which is so weird for this channel. I don't think we ever expected it to get as big as it has.
Yeah, just a side channel, but we're getting there. And of course, for those of you guys watching the premiere live on YouTube right now,
ones up.
Ones in
Put
chat.
your ones up, Premiere gang.
Would always appreciate that. And something that I realized that I have not done in a few weeks is read us a review. Because
we really haven't had too many.
Yeah, we haven't had like too many recently. Of course, positive reviews always help us out quite a bit. So now that we have at least one more review, just literally one more review, I figure I can read this as well. So this comes to us from Madaran39.
Madaran.
Came for the Yu-Gi-Oh! Stayed for the men. Interesting. They gave us 5 stars. That's nice. I've watched these guys before they started the pod, and I'm glad they did it. Good commentary, great chemistry, interesting topics. If it weren't for these two, I'd be out of the loop on a lot of gaming news. That said, I don't care how fine these guys are. Hi, Alec. Winky heart eyes face emoji. I'm always skipping the Marvel stuff. Keep up the great work. So thank you for that, Madaran39.
Yes, we appreciate it.
Alec especially appreciates it.
I don't know about the winky face, but we appreciate it.
Oh, you're not going to return the feelings.
What?
Okay.
Wink? I don't know.
Well, either way, we appreciate all positive reviews, 5-star reviews on any podcast site that you choose to listen to this on. It helps us out, goes a long way. Liking the video goes a long way, all of that stuff. But now let's get on to the news and updates. I guess an update first, right? Yeah,
updates first.
So we went to New York Comic Con, like we said, and it was a blast.
We had a pretty good time, yeah.
Yeah, what did you think of it? This was our first time at New York Comic Con. It was mine, yeah.
It was actually pretty wild. It wasn't long ago that we were in New York for Anime NYC. Mm-hmm. And I didn't expect it to be bigger, and then it was.
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say it was a bigger event than Anime NYC was.
Which is already quite large itself.
Yeah, so we're not saying it was a small event. This one was even larger. And seeing the mix of more Western media with anime. Anime still had a very strong presence at this convention.
Yeah, definitely.
But now you add in a lot of the Western properties, lots of Marvel, lots of Disney, lots of
some Nickelodeon.
There was some Nick.
Yeah, I definitely saw that in the mix of like cosplay that you saw, the different booths and panels and exhibits. This is also one of the events where the official Yu-Gi-Oh! Exhibit is there. Mm-hmm. So the last time that we got to see one of those Yu-Gi-Oh! Exhibits was at Anime Expo back in like summer 2022.
Yeah.
Long time ago, it feels like. And so it was cool. They've kind of upgraded the Yu-Gi-Oh! Booth. It's a little bit different.
Yeah, it's modeled after Grandpa's Game Store.
Yeah, they got the Grandpa Kame Game Shop. And all the usual attractions, demos for like Duel Links, Master Duel, as well as a token booth, kind of a prize exchange place. They showcased some new products on display.
Paul even dueled a multi-time YCS champion.
Actually, okay, so funny story about that. Asala, who's the person I dueled, I made a whole video about it where I just toured the booth, tried out different stuff, and then eventually got to duel against Asala, who I won't spoil how the duel itself goes, but it's definitely worth watching. Please check it out. I'm also giving away a playmat, that Zane playmat that they had on sale.
That was exclusive for the event.
Yeah, I'm giving that away, so details on how to get that is in that video. But the person that I dueled was, once again, Asala. He has not actually ever won a YCS.
Never?
Yeah, he is notable. I was looking at his like Yu-Gi-Oh! Wikia page because I needed to know how to spell his last name.
Fair.
Because they always just put like a solid W, and I was like, okay, I want to put his full last name. And he's one of the top players who has a very high amount of premier tops, but has not won a YCS.
Oh, he never turned the corner.
Yeah, so it's kind of an interesting tidbit about him. But Asal is really cool. I like him. He's a good sport, a nice guy. He's always willing to like do these videos. Because I'm always wondering if like those Duel the Master people are even like allowed to record and stuff. And I guess
It didn't stop you from putting a camera on him.
yeah. So I mean, he did. So that was cool. Watched the video. Let's see. Anything else happening at that happened? Any interesting like experiences or things you saw?
I've once again come to you guys to campaign for Gundam.
Campaign for Gundam. Okay.
Yes, at New York Comic Con, there was a Gundam panel to share with us the latest happenings in Gundam media. This is not including the card game. This is not the card game.
Yeah.
But there were two pieces of Gundam media they showed. One that I kind of brushed over, and they made me regret that. It was the VR movie, Mobile Suit Gundam: The Silver Phantom. I thought it was just going to be some movie that you watch in 3D, but it's actually much more interactive than that. And they demoed it at the event, and you got to become the character who is fighting against these. I think they were like Earth Federation mobile suits. And, you know, there were moments when you were in control of the Gundam. There were moments where you weren't, so you still watched a lot of it. And, of course, you still had, like, 360-degree, like, view of the movie around you. And so that was really cool. And because I have a MetaQuest 3 headset, I really need to just buy it and watch it. I have no idea why I haven't
I'm
gotten
actually
to
surprised you being the Gundam fan
But
that you are.
You hit with those VR headsets. You just sometimes you turn them off and then you just don't
Never
turn them back on for a few months.
I know the feeling. That's relatable, actually. No, it really is. Like sometimes you get like a cool thing, but it's sort of like a niche thing, and so you do use it a lot when you first have it.
When you're in your rhythm to use it, you're going to use it every day.
Yeah, it has to become a part of your like day to day almost.
Then
for you to
something
remember
happens.
Yeah, and then something happens. Like either you just some life event or just kind of for a couple of days straight, you have some excuse to not turn it on, and then you forget you have it.
Yeah, even though you know you have it, you forget you have it. And then the second piece of Gundam media is actually the new Netflix series, Mobile Suit Gundam Requiem for Vengeance, which is not your typical Gundam series. You know, Gundam always has a plucky, young, we'll say like a teenager, finds giant death machine, uses it to save his friends, and then imposes their will on the war around them to say war is bad. But in Requiem for Vengeance, it's much more of a gritty horror story.
Okay, so you haven't seen this, right?
So they demoed the first 10 minutes of the first episode for us. Just to get a feel for it. The whole thing is actually in Unreal Engine 5, or is it Unreal Engine 6?
Yeah, 5 probably.
I think, yeah, Unreal Engine 5. And it looks really good and sounds even better. It really goes far to show you the horrors of war, and you're actually looking at it from a lens we don't really get to look at. Instead of being on the side of the Gundam, they ask you, well, what would it be like if you were the other guys and a Gundam pilot showed up?
Interesting. Well, let's see. Was there anything else for me? We met a lot of fans.
Yeah.
We met a lot of fans. That was very cool. I mean, I know like we meet fans often at these events, but it never ceases to amaze me, like how much, I guess, influence we've managed to have on a lot of like people.
Influence.
Yeah, it feels weird to say, right? But people would argue that. Like there are people who will, they'll come up to us and be like, yeah, I got back into Yu-Gi-Oh because of you guys, or like you guys are what make like Yu-Gi-Oh fun for me. Or, it's all these different things.
I was told that that guy was 6 months clean because of me.
Really?
No.
Okay. Maybe that's happened. I don't know. So it was really cool. Shout outs to everybody that I met. I interviewed a few people. I saw some really cool cosplays. I saw like a Rex and Weevil pair.
Oh, that was fun.
There was the Seto Kaiba. That was a really good cosplay. Obviously some Yugi, some Dark Magician girls. Yeah, so that was really neat. There was one guy actually who had just gotten back into the game and really loved the Millennium archetype from the last set. And so he was actually telling me how he's going to buy a case of the new set. Yeah, or not the new set, but I guess it'd be like Infinite Forbidden. He was going to buy a case for it and try to collect all of the Millennium cards in like QCR.
Oh, okay. I guess they were high rarity, so I guess you could do that.
Yeah, so that's what he was saying, and I thought that's a bit much, but I decided.
Now, you know what rarity I would like to see them in? It's still, I think, too much for the archetype, but the what was it called? The Pharaoh's rare.
Yeah, that would be fitting.
What set was that?
Those Pharaoh's rare. It was
that was
Magnificent Mavens.
Yeah,
had that, and then also technically King's Court. But in King's Court, it was very hard to see them.
Yeah,
to see the effect, and so in Magnificent Mavens, they kind of just made the effect a little bit more visible. That would be a good rarity for the Exodia cards. So as it happened, I actually had a QCR Millennium Shield in my backpack, and so I just gave it to him. I mean, because we have been building that deck for a theme duel, but we already have the copies of it that we need for that. And so I remember that I had it just sitting in a deck box serendipitously, and this guy is like just crazy over this archetype. So I was like, sure, here. I don't know how much it's worth, but like whatever. Hopefully it helps him out. He was really just enthralled. So.
You hear that, guys? If you find Paul at a convention, you might get a free card.
Yeah, I'm just such a great person. I'm just saving the world. And
if he doesn't give you a free card, take his bag.
Yeah, don't do that. So that was pretty much it. That was New York Comic Con, I guess, in a nutshell. Hopefully I didn't leave anything out.
I mean, you definitely left things out, but
yeah.
How can you summarize the entire event?
Oh, okay. That's a good... I'm glad that I even said anything. So I picked up this really cool book.
Oh, look, it's a book.
Yeah,
This is called Old Media.
Yeah. The Psychology of Pokemon is what this is called. And it's by Anthony M. Bean. He's a PhD, and so basically it sort of just examines, the stories and the concepts and designs of Pokemon and sort of how it, I guess, like just says things about life and human psychology. I haven't gotten a chance to really start reading it. I only read the introduction, but it seems really good. And I don't know. I mean, like, I think one more book in my life can't be a bad thing. So,
I mean, there's a lot of people in this world who already take Pokemon entirely too seriously. So they should definitely have this on their shelves. Like, if you have ever spent hours debating like the meaning of the legendary birds versus like the legendary dogs, this is probably the book for you.
Okay, well, I will report back once I have finished reading it. I hope to get to read it here in the next week. Anywho, though, okay, so I guess on to the actual Yu-Gi-Oh! News for the week, of which there is a lot of just...
Now just go to Yu-Gi-Oh! News TCG on Twitter.
That's exactly what I do. I mean, listen, Konami doesn't always make it clear what the news is, so I just kind of go there, and that's where I find it. A lot of new cards from Supreme Darkness, even from when we first talked about it last week. A lot of announcements for the Quarter Century Bonanza. And some new product announcements. So I'm going to start with the new product announcements. This was actually at New York Comic Con, the new TCG set, Maze of the Master.
Yes.
So we don't know exactly what's in the set yet. But
I stared really hard at the display. So I did get a good look at some of the cards, and it looks like it was all themed around, the core of the set is themed around Odeon's, what was that, Temple of the Kings?
Temple of the Kings and like Mystical Beast of Circuit and
even
stuff.
They look like they retrained the Mystical Beast too.
Yeah, so they're definitely going to be like doing retrains of that. I suppose that's one of the next cool, I guess just anime renditions. Because the last one did Gate Guardian.
Yes, that was Maze of Millennia, right?
Or, actually no, Gate Guardian was Maze of like Mystery. And then Maze of Millennia was Flame Swordsman.
Oh, yeah.
And so this time it's Odeon and Mystical Beast of Circuit.
I have no Flame Swordsman cards. That is weird.
Also, they're going to be putting some cards from Animation Chronicle and Duelist Pack, Duelists of Brilliance in the TCG, or in the OCG.
That was the light
That was
set?
a light one.
Okay.
Which seems to suggest that we are not going to be getting a light Duelist Pack this year, which I guess we would have known because it would have been announced by now.
True.
But, they did do it for like water and wind and fire. And it kind of makes me think that maybe the like Duelist Pack line of products has not performed super well, and so they thought it would be better to just import these cards here instead.
I think it's just the fact that they keep trying these rarity collection like spinoffs.
What do you mean? Like,
I think because they made like Rarity Collection. Then Rarity Collection 2 came out entirely like
Too soon.
And now we have Quarter Century Bonanza. These are all products that were not initially like in the TCG slate 3 years ago, but because of Rarity Collection, they now are. So something has to give. They can't print all the same products they were printing before and all of the spin-offs of Rarity Collection.
No, yeah, that's definitely true. I think that there's just probably not enough product slots, but I will say, like Soul Burning Volcano and Duelist from the Deep were not super well received. It's not that they didn't have good cards at all. Like, I mean, you know, Duelist from the Deep reprinted Forbidden Droplet had some cool shark cards, and Soul Burning Volcano had Salamangreat of Fire, and that one Pyro Phoenix or whatever, Blazing Phoenix.
It did have those.
And they end up running into that problem where, like, those are actually pretty good cards, but the set is bad and not that many people buy it. And so then that one or two cards end up being like 30 or 40 bucks, and you just don't see them a lot. And, you know.
I mean, at least the Fire set did have, like, new notable cards. Duelist of the Deep was Forbidden Droplets.
Yeah. I mean, it had, like, some of that Mako stuff. Yeah. Now, what's interesting about this is that will be the Kaiba like ABC retrains, which are supposed to actually be pretty strong. So maybe there will be.
And we just got Union Pilot in the TCG, so now they have even more support to use. Yay.
Yeah, so that's a cool new set. That'll be out, I believe, on February 21st of next year. So something to look forward to.
Or not, you know.
Also, we got the announcement of OTS Pack 27. All we know is that one of the ultimate rares in it, it's going to be coming out next year as well, but one of the ultimate rares in it is Sage with Eyes of Blue.
Oh, wow.
Which is an older card for Blue Eyes, but one that will certainly still be important in the new
that was the best of the Eyes of Blue cards, right?
Yeah, though, definitely. Yeah. Sage is very, very good. In fact, one of its effects isn't even a hard once per turn. So, yeah, it's really cool. Also, we got, just as cards in Supreme Darkness, the new Molcharmy card. Molcharmy Nealis. It's the Earth Molcharmy, which lets you draw for
so that what graveyard
grave and banish any special summons from those areas. So that seemingly completes the Molcharmies, unless they want to maybe give us like a fire one, but I don't know where that would.
What about summons from the? Ooh.
Yeah, I don't know what's really
the
left.
Spell and Trap Zone?
That'd be interesting. You summon a monster. I mean, that's Snake Eyes.
It does happen. It just doesn't happen. It happens more than it ever should.
I mean, with Snake Eye, it definitely happens more than it should. So, you know, people are feeling like, well, okay. Mixed feelings on Molcharmies. Like, some people kind of like them. Some people kind of don't. But there will now be 3. And it kind of makes me wonder, like, which ones will, you know, see play? Will they be sided? It's a total of like 9 cards if you were to have like 3 of each, and I feel like it's just way too much for someone to commit to like a main deck. So I'm curious how that relationship
unless you're
goes.
running a really, really lean yet consistent engine, where it's like the core of your deck is 9 cards, and you just fill up the rest of it with hand traps.
We also got some more announcements for Supreme Darkness, like the Clockwork Knight.
Oh, yeah.
Which searches Clockwork
love that
Knight.
Guy. Yeah, Clockwork Knight searches Clockwork Knight, and that's great.
We got this new Link monster, Abao Aku, the Lightless Shadow. It's a Link 4.
Say that name again?
Yeah, it's Abao Aku, or Q.
That's interesting. That reminds me of a location in Mobile Suit Gundam called Abao Aku.
Oh, so maybe based off of...
Who knows?
Probably some
they're probably both based off the same thing. Whatever Abao Aku references.
We also saw new Gladiator Beast support cards, which was really exciting. I'm a pretty big Gladiator Beast fan.
I did not know about this. You just caught me off guard.
Oh, you didn't see that stuff?
No.
Yeah, so they did announce new Gladiator Beast cards. They seem to update the deck just to more modern standards. It feels like it wasn't that long ago.
Are we still just cheating out extra deck monsters?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, they have a new extra deck monster that can like let you conduct the battle phase twice and some crazy stuff like that.
Conduct the battle phase twice?
Yes, which means you'll get to swap twice. In theory, anyway.
I feel like there's something that can be abused.
Oh, almost certainly. Also, new Arcana Force cards.
Okay, I did see the Arcana.
Yeah, those are exciting. Did you read any of their effects?
I would never read an Arcana Force card.
Yeah, I mean, Arcana Force isn't really like my cup of tea. But I did remember using it in that one like speed duel video, so I have at least had some exposure. It seems like they are doing the thing that I've said that you kind of have to do with coin flip effects and make both effects decent. / give people, the option to maybe cheat one of the effects every now and again. So I saw that. There's also a series of Halloween-themed cards, 3 of them.
Oh, okay, I saw those. They're just fun.
Yeah, Hollow, the Great Spirit of Tricks, Ween, the Great Spirit of Treats, and a spell card, Trick or Treat, which searches either of them from your deck or graveyard to your hand.
Yeah, and they're just kind of generic fiend and zombie support.
Pretty cool. They basically let your opponent kind of pick Trick or Treat. So, either they can gain 800 attack for each of that type in your graveyard. So maybe you have like 5 zombies, that's like 4,000 attack, pretty big. Or inflict 500 damage to your opponent for each of that type in your grave, which would literally like end them in some cases, like if it's late game. So they will have to instead go with the high attack monster, which is also still a threat. And they get effects when they're destroyed by battle or card effect. So the Hollow sends a monster your opponent controls to the grave. And the Ween summons a monster from your opponent's graveyard to your field, which, as we know, for zombie strategies, that's
not a problem.
Useful in a
Especially
number
if you
of ways.
play like vampires who really want to have your opponent's monsters on your field.
Yeah, let you cheat their levels for Xyz summons. So really awesome. I think that's all for Supreme Darkness of notable things. There's obviously still a few other like latent cards that have been announced.
Seeing the booster pack in person, I realized they really made the new Neos very muscular.
Yeah,
I was slightly off put. I was like, I don't even remember the old Neos having that much muscle in his thighs. Golly.
you like that Neos, eh?
I mean, I have to. It's Neos. It's just now I'm intimidated. I'm just
I always find it funny when Neos is just the only Yu-Gi-Oh monster that just canonically has an ass.
And he does squats.
Yeah, he has an ass.
I'm pretty sure Neos could do that watermelon smashing thing.
Yeah. We are really sitting here talking about we're gonna talk about this. No, but Neos is a fan favorite, but it's interesting that he's the one who gets drawn that way. It feels like he's one of the only monsters that does. Supreme Darkness, though, as you guys know, is coming out next year on February the 7th, something like that.
I think so.
So cool, or it might be end of January. Yeah, January 23rd, actually. So that's pretty much it for mainline TCG product. Oh wait, I almost forgot. We got to talk about Quarter Century Bonanza.
Well, we don't have to.
So what they've been doing on social media now is they just reveal 5 new cards a day.
Yep.
And this is the cards that are part of the QCR nostalgia pool.
Yeah.
So have you seen some of the cards that have been announced?
I have.
Do you have it pulled up?
No.
Okay. Darn, I do. And my voice is definitely going to go out halfway through this
Give
podcast
me your
because
tablet.
I'm super duper. I'm kind of sick today, but I'm pushing through. You have to scroll up. Okay, I'll go through them.
Okay.
So there's Card Trooper.
Yep.
There's Goyo Guardian. There's Elemental Hero Stratos. There's Cyberstein. There's Dark Magician Girl, the Dragon Knight.
That's where I draw the line. How is that a nostalgia card at all?
Yeah, there's a few others that are weirdly not that old, but I guess they're in here. Sangan, Morphing Jar, Magician of Faith, Jirot Guaiba, Skyscraper 2, Hero City, such an old favorite of mine. Magic Cylinder, Injection Fairy Lily, Mechanical Chaser, DD Assailant, Destiny Draw, and Dark End Dragon, Goblin Attack Force, Gores, Ancient City Rainbow Ruins, Dandelion, and then today, that is when we're recording this, we got Colossal Fighter, Substitute, Mirror Force, Tregoedia, and Sky Striker Mobilize Engage.
Okay.
Which I guess is
what are we
considered
doing?
nostalgic. Yeah. Any thoughts? Anything stick out?
So the majority of the cards are powerful cards from different eras of the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG. I can't argue with the vast majority of the list. Mm-hmm. These are great GOAT cards, great Edison cards. These are good nostalgic cards, except for 2 of them, which they're probably still good cards. But
maybe
I don't know.
Nostalgic.
Yeah, nostalgic.
Per se.
Not you should not be saying Dark Magician Girl, the Dragon Knight, and Sky Striker Mobilize Engage in the same breath as Morphing Jar.
Maybe it's their way of calling us old. You know what I
Dang.
mean? They're just yeah, I mean, the Engage came out in 2018, so retro enough.
It's like the early 2000s.
One cool thing I like about these reveals is that they have a little blurb under each card, and it's like nothing major, but to me, it's more personality than I'm used to seeing from a Konami
Mr.
social
Steal Your
media
Monster
post.
is crazy on Tragodia.
Yeah, and they even like say things like for Substitute, this card is not once per turn. Like,
Like,
so it
there's
shows
a reason it's a problem.
Yeah, they show some awareness, right? Like,
Yeah.
they do know how these cards were used. Like with Engage, they say nothing like drawing another Engage off the first. Or from Mirror Force, raise your hand if you've ever lost everything to this card.
Wow.
So I don't know. I find these are kind of fun. Oh, and one more that I really like is for Gores, they say which monster attacks first.
That's an important
Which
question.
that was the number one like game-changing aspect of Gores. It changed the order that you attack with your monsters. You can no longer just say, "Oh, like I've got game, I attack with everything," and just
It's like you
push it
might
all.
really want to think about that, Chief.
Yeah. So this is all stuff in Quarter Century Bonanza. Now, something worth mentioning, guys. Again, this is the nostalgia pool. I've seen comments on social media where people are like, "These cards all suck. Like this is a terrible reprint set." But these are like
These are further nostalgia. And they announced that there are 2 different pools of cards, but people on Twitter don't read. So,
yeah. So thought that was kind of neat.
question, because I saw Substitute was on that list.
Mm-hmm.
When was the last time Substitute has been printed?
Well, so technically, when they reprinted Light of Destruction, it was in that like this year.
Okay.
But this is probably going to be a more direct way of getting it because you might not really want to like buy Light of Destruction.
Because
per se.
I wanted to get a new copy of Substitute, but I did not want to get any more Light of Destruction.
Yeah, Light of Destruction is not that fun of a set to open. I'm not gonna lie. Like it entices you with like the idea of Judgment Dragon and Honest, but the pull rates kind of suck. Or at least
The pull rates kind of suck, and I feel like all the important Light Sworns were reprinted before they reprinted the set. So I don't, because even JD got a reprint not that long ago.
yeah, it just kind of feels like a random reprint. Same with the Realm of Light structure deck. Like it's an old structure, and all those Light Sworns were in like that Battles of Legend. It just I don't know. It didn't really feel.
Except for Michael,
Yeah, like Michael's like the
who
only
is not really.
He's not even used
Because
really
he's
in
like
the
level
newer deck.
7. He's not. Yeah, he's an awkward sync.
He was meant to be like with Minerva, the tuner
Yeah.
Minerva, but no one.
Yeah,
She's not really run as much. So
like she's a good one-off. She does a good job. You're just not going to be making that level 7.
so something else is that we have finally gotten a little bit more information on the Yu-Gi-Oh! Early Days collection.
You got even more information?
Yeah, I don't know how much of this we talked about last week. Maybe we did or didn't. I don't entirely remember.
I don't remember either.
I don't think we did. So they added.
We talked about it.
Yeah, I think we talked about it.
We did not talk about it.
Yeah, so now we talk to you. Yu-Gi-Oh! The Eternal Duelist Soul, Yu-Gi-Oh! The Sacred Cards, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Reshef of Destruction have joined the lineup, with many more titles still to be revealed.
So I'll say right now, I fully expected those games to be announced for Early Days Collection, but this now puts the collection in A tier. It's not an S tier yet, but it is an A tier as far as a game now.
What's it need to be an S tier?
It needs Duelist of the Roses.
Yeah, I'm still very curious about that. It feels like so far they've just been going for like Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games.
Like, and it is, and now I think about it, doesn't have to be Duelist of the Roses. If they get any games from the GameCube era, the Xbox, they get any of those
would
early
be
console
great.
era games, S tier.
I would love to play like Frostbound Kingdom.
Me
That would be
too.
one that I'd like to see in there as well. We also got some information about how like one of them is going to have online play at launch, and I guess others might be getting it after launch, like post launch, kind of.
Are we gonna have for Reshef of Destruction? Are we gonna have online play?
Yeah, like online play, and also
How would that work with their whole life points being like your health bar thing?
wait, was that Reshef of Destruction? That had that?
Yeah. In Reshef of Destruction, your life points don't reset between duels.
Well, I mean, I guess with online it probably would. But
I
that's
would
like
hope
a campaign
so.
thing, right?
I would hope,
hope.
so.
I don't know.
I don't know. I've never played online.
Yeah, so they also said that there's going to be some ways to like get all the cards that were available through codes and things.
Okay,
Something
that's
like
cool.
that.
Because that was a big thing in old Yu-Gi-Oh games. Where there was pretty much always a list of codes to like unlock different cards running around the internet.
So it's good
Oh,
in
the
a
good old
compilation
days.
game to just be able to kind of like get all the cards if that's what it's saying. And also, this comes out on February 27th, 2025. So a lot of stuff coming out like in early next year. It feels like.
Look, I'm already getting Early Days Collection.
Oh, there's
that didn't last long. I'm already getting the Early Days Collection. Now, if they announce anything from like a first generation console, I'm in.
Yeah, a first generation console?
I guess a second generation console.
Well, you're talking about the GameCube and PS2?
Yeah.
That's like 5th gen or something of consoles, I think.
Really? Because Sony only had the
5th or 6th, I don't know.
I guess, but for counting like Nintendo, who has had more generations.
I don't. There's like an actual hierarchy.
For me, video games didn't even consoles didn't start until PS1.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So, yeah,
even though I did have a Super Nintendo.
So like second generation consoles. No, I know what you mean. I'm really excited about Early Days. It's definitely going to be something I'm picking up. I mean, I'll pick it up. I might stream that. Really. I
mean, I think every Yu-Gi-Oh player should, even if you didn't really play in that era. It's it'll be nice. It's nice to have kind of a record of what Yu-Gi-Oh once was, because we're not going back. I just don't think that's ever gonna happen.
You can tune in and watch Alec play Sacred Cards and scream as much as you were that first time.
I was mad, but not as mad as Reshif of Destruction made me.
Yeah.
I promise you, Paul, Reshif is way worse.
Yeah, Sacred Cards, because Reshif's the sequel for Sacred Cards.
Yeah.
I know Sacred Cards.
Sacred Cards.
I know one of them's like is really annoyingly hard. A lot of those games are.
Sacred Cards. It's Battle City from like a bit of a different angle. It's really solid with a few pain points. Reshif is a lot of pain points for no reason.
Yeah. So here's something else that's kind of interesting. Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links' OCG, like kind of Japanese channel, released footage of that VR, like solid vision experience or experiment or whatever you want to call it that they've done.
Do they know we've already seen that?
Yeah, now here's the difference with it, is that this time it was dubbed in English. So it had the English voice actors like Eric Stewart as Kaiba. It was really cool. Same video, same demo you've seen, a few times, where like you go in, you're in the Necro Valley area, you summon Dark Magician Girl, Kaiba summons Blue Eyes, he attacks you, and then like Dark Magician protects you and all that stuff. But it was cool hearing it with the English voice cast, and kind of makes Kaiba out to be a bit of an ass. Like there's multiple times where like the people are like, the test subject is like having strange, like his body can't handle it and all, and Kaiba's just like, who cares? Keep the test going. Wow. If he's a real duelist, he could, because the context is that you are like a test subject, and you're just testing Kaiba Corp's new solid vision dueling system. And Kaiba's, I guess, like engineers and stuff are worried because they're just trying to find out like how humans respond to this system and if it's too much. And like Mokuba's there and he's commenting.
He's like, Seto, we have to stop. And he's
Kaiba's just like, no.
Let it rock, Mokuba.
And it's like, if you were a real duelist, then like you'd be able to, like, you'd be willing to put anything on the line for this. And if something goes wrong, well, I guess you just weren't a very good duelist after all. As if that justifies like a test subject dying.
I mean, but that's right with Kaiba's character. Like, that just sounds exactly how he would act in that scenario.
Yeah, now here's something that was kind of cool though. I saw on Master Duel, and this might be in Duel Links too, but I saw on Master Duel they put up a VR survey.
Oh.
So that was new. Like, we always are on here talking about like, will this VR thing
ever like
come out? And they put up a survey where it just asks you, do you own a VR device? If so, what? MetaQuest. All right,
let me get my Duel.
Yeah, you might want to
do this survey real quick.
You might want to do it later. But yeah, like, do you own a MetaQuest 2, MetaQuest 3, Apple Vision Pro, whatever? They had a couple others. And then it also asks you, like, and if you don't own one, would you, like, be interested in purchasing one? Would you purchase one in order to play a Yu-Gi-Oh game?
All right, guys, before you answer that survey, just know that Meta put out the MetaQuest 3S, which is actually cheaper than a MetaQuest 3. So maybe you should put you're willing to buy a VR headset to play a Yu-Gi-Oh game.
Yeah, definitely. Fill out the survey.
Just tell them that, guys, even if you're not going to do it.
Yeah, like reassure them.
For me.
Because that's cool, though. Like, that actually answers the question that, like, I'd been wondering, which was, like, are they going to release this? Like, they've been showing this demo, but there's never really been any details on, like, is it just a... kind of a, what is the word for that? Like a
tech demo.
Proof of concept, tech demo. Or is it like actually going to be a game, like a VR thing.
I really didn't think it would be more than what it was, but the fact that they went in and brought in English voice actors and now put out a survey, now I'm all in.
Yeah, they even ask you in the survey.
I'm about to go do that survey in all my burner accounts too.
Yeah, they even ask you in the survey what you would like to do in a Yu-Gi-Oh VR game. Like it's like a multiple choice question, so it's like, you know.
Oh, thank God they limited the responses.
Yeah, but there's like a point you can like type some stuff in.
Control yourselves. I'm looking at you.
Oh yeah, what are you thinking?
I'm not thinking anything. I'm a good boy.
Okay, well, listen. Anyway, they let you. You know, are you interested in like seeing anime characters, playing cards, dueling against other players, or would you just use it for like it's better engaging the Yu-Gi-Oh world, like single player stuff? So I thought that was kind of cool. They're definitely trying to get some insight into what the typical digital Yu-Gi-Oh player is interested in.
I mean, even if nothing else, I think it would be cool if there were like a Yu-Gi-Oh like VR like special episode or movie where like Yugi and Kaiba duel around you. You're standing next to Summon Skull as he's being attacked by the Blue Eyes White Dragon. Like it'll be similar to the demo, but it'll be an entirely performed situation, which I think it could be a lot of fun. I'd like to experience that. So guys, even if you don't own a VR headset, even if you don't want to get one, go ahead and say that you will though. For me,
100%.
For me.
And then last little tidbit on Konami, I believe, unless you have something as well, is that Konami Animation, which is the studio that made those like Chronicle Saga, whatever they're called. Yu-Gi-Oh! Animation, The Chronicles.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's the animation studio that Konami has that did those animations. They're going to be at CG World 2024, which is on November 21st. They're supposed to have a presentation on how they made the Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game, The Chronicles, specifically focusing on Six Samurai and the AA Zeus animations, as well as the future of the studio.
I mean, I imagine they'll make more anime OPs.
Yeah, they have worked on Reign of the Seven Spellblades.
Yes.
They worked in the OP at least for that and some of the animation in the show. So we'll get some more information about, what they're going to be doing next. Will it be more Yu-Gi-Oh? Will there be some new anime?
A Castlevania anime again.
Probably so. I mean, they might. There's like a fairly recent one. That was on Netflix, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if that was by
It's not
them.
It's not them.
Okay. So that's, I think, the Konami stuff and all the Yu-Gi-Oh, at least that I can remember. So
moving on to more TCG news.
Sure, there's plenty.
Magic the Gathering and Marvel announced their Marvel Super Drop Secret Lair.
So this is the Magic Marvel thing we've been anticipating.
Yes, this is a Magic Marvel thing.
Okay.
So this is their secret lair. This is their limited time release program. You know how it goes. The sale goes live. It sells out in seconds, and then we cry. Well, now you can cry about missing out on Marvel characters in this secret lair drop. I think it's 6 characters in total. It is Black Panther, Captain America, Iron Man, Storm, and Wolverine. And you don't just get a brand new card featuring those characters. You can get a themed card of each one of those characters, and they're essentially alternate arts of cards you already know. If you participate in a secret lair, then you kind of know how this goes. For instance, there is an arcane signet that is now called Earth's Mightiest Emblem, and the card artwork is actually the Avengers Tower with their logo on it.
Oh, okay, cool.
If you order the Black Panther package of cards, you will receive Black Panther, the Wakandan King, Secure the Waste, Primal Vigor, it's called Bast's Blessing here, Heroic Intervention, it's Heroic Intervention, but instead now it's, looks like Black Panther fighting Daredevil?
That's a scene.
Wakandan Skyscraper, which is Karin's Bastion, and a 1/1 warrior token, but it's a Wakandan warrior.
Okay, so remind me again how secret layers work. It's like a pre-order sort of thing?
Yes, limited release pre-order. So they come in like 2 varieties. There's a non-foil or rainbow foil versions. The non-foils are $40. The rainbow foils are $50. You have all of like a second to order it once it goes live because these things go fast.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. I mean,
And I don't even know if it will be possible to order like all 6 of these. Because
so you have to order them individually?
these
I
are
thought it was
all
like a set.
these are separate packages.
Oh dear.
You can get there's Black Panther, there's Captain America, Iron Man, Storm, Wolverine. I feel like I missed someone,
Yeah.
but they're all separate packages. So I don't know if any human being would have the time to click on all the options and get the order in before they're sold out. But we know who tends to win these situations.
Yeah. His name is Bot.
Yes.
Well,
Not a Doom bot.
So this is separate from just the kind of Marvel set that they're going to do.
Yes, this is only just one part of the Marvel Magic the Gathering collaboration. If you miss out, I mean, I know you're gonna scalp them online. Guys, I get
some
it.
people will be willing to.
I get it. I will. If I don't if I can't get in, I'm definitely going to be buying like Black Panther and Storm and Wolverine. And
Yeah,
I'll be buying all of them.
I was gonna ask you like if you were gonna be kind of springing for these.
I mean, so on the order, like the initial order, I'm going to try for Black Panther or Storm.
Right. Okay.
And hopefully I get one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't, I'm regardless ordering all the rest of them on like eBay or something. So
yeah, it sounds like that's gonna probably have to be how it goes because God.
And
that
this
just sounds vicious.
And this goes live on November 4th. So on November 5th, I'm going to be poor.
On November 5th, a lot of people might feel poor. Okay, so I also have Magic news.
Oh, what you got?
I don't normally find the Magic stories, but I thought that these were interesting. So the first one's going to be just a quickie. Do you remember that we talked about the Magic the Gathering manga?
Yes.
Well, it is actually out now.
In English.
Yeah, you can go and buy it in bookstores. So its manga recently got localized in North America. Destroy All Humans, They Can't Be Regenerated, a Magic the Gathering manga. It is a fascinating portal to spring 1998, where Tokiwagi middle school students have become enamored with the card game. So, and it also comes with a special bonus card. So basically, Destroy All Humans was originally published by Katakawa Shoten, and the series has been ongoing since 2018. It was recently localized for Magic the Gathering fans on October 8th, as we see the budding friendship and rivalry between geek Hajime Kano and honor student Emi Sawatori. So, introduces readers to the cocky magic enthusiast Hajime, whose precocious talents as a student were soon overshadowed by Emi, who is seemingly better than him at everything. So, I won't, talk a bunch more about it, because I guess you should obviously read it yourself.
I've actually read the first chapter of it.
Oh, the Magic?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What did you think?
It's actually pretty good. The artwork is solid, and the story is quite interesting because the main character, while he loves playing Magic and it's kind of the only thing he really cares about, this kind of like stuck up girl who he figures he could at least beat in Magic because she's good at everything academically. Turns out she's better at Magic than he is.
Yeah, that's really cool. I guess this seems... I wonder how this is done in Japan. Like, because I know Magic the Gathering as a game is popular, but not like super duper popular in Japan. I wonder if this sort of like cultural cross section, Magic sort of spin on a manga might draw some interest in that territory.
I feel like that is the goal, that they looked at the market, they saw there's room to grow as far as Magic in the Japanese market, and they said, okay, what do Japanese card gamers like to do when they're not playing card games? Someone said, oh, they like to read manga. Let's make one of those.
Right, yeah.
And I'm 100% sure someone picked up that manga and
100%
picked up some cards.
Oh, definitely. And it includes Diabolic Edict, that's like the bonus card. So I don't know what that card is, but I guess Magic players will.
I've heard the name before. That's all I can tell you.
The way it reads is like it's an existing card, but it's just going to have like kind of new artwork, similar to like what they did with the Marvel cards. But I thought that was just a neat little update on that manga. So if anybody was interested, you can go and pick it up. The bigger Magic the Gathering news, though, is that they introduced the Commander format panel.
Panel?
Yeah, so you might remember a few weeks back we were talking about all of the controversy around, the rules
The
committee
rules
for
committee, and
Commander
then they had to
and
quit. Yeah, I remember.
all of that. So this is on the official Magic the Gathering site, introducing the Commander format panel. You might want to pull it up. We can read along, but yeah, basically they sort of talk about how I'm excited. This is from Gavin Verhey. I'm excited to announce the Commander format panel. We hinted at this a couple of weeks ago, and we've been hard at work putting it together. What is it? How does it work? And who's in it? Let me take you through it all. Now, this is a really long article, so I'm going to try to sort of skim and paraphrase a bit. I tried to read some of this earlier, so I could be somewhat informed and not be a complete... Wait, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna jump in here to give you a break.
Oh, yeah,
At least
thanks.
on one part. So it's inspired by the Pauper format panel. And if you aren't familiar, it's a group announced at the beginning of 2022. A bunch of individuals from around the world work together to monitor the health of Pauper, suggest changes, and discuss things like ban updates.
What is Pauper again? Is that
So Pauper is their like low rarity format. All the
Okay.
cards have to be cheap,
Okay,
like
cool.
dirt cheap.
Yeah, I've heard about it before. I just didn't remember. Okay.
And Pauper is actually a fairly popular format. I don't think I've ever been to a card shop that hosts Magic events that didn't also run Pauper.
Okay.
So
So a bunch of individuals around the world working together to monitor health and suggest changes
there
and
we
all that. Let's see. In creating this group, the first thing we wanted to do was offer positions to everybody who was on the Commander Rules Committee and CAG. Starting with those community leaders was important. On top of those groups, we wanted to add in some new eyes as well. So they brought in players from other places in the world who have different preferred levels of Commander play. That way, the feedback would come from more regions, and we can hear the full range of the Commander spectrum, from players who prefer extremely casual decks to competitive Commander players. And they have 17 members.
I wonder how that's going to work out, having very competitive minded players versus and very casual players sharing the same space to try and find like a singular rule set or a singular set of like controls.
Yeah, I mean, judging by what they said before about the whole, they're going to kind of try to have like a tiered system. Kind of reminded me like Smogon, like a tier 1, 2, 3, and 4 type of thing. It sounds like it would be good to have that mix of people so that, because like they said that tier 4 are like the strongest cards. So if, your deck has these really powerful cards in it or engines or whatever, that would be like a tier 4 deck, and you can communicate that then to your locals or your table. Like, hey, I'm playing some level 4 cards. So it would be good to have like competitive players' input so that they can help to dictate what maybe would be like a 3 or a 4 level card, and then casual players to, I guess, rebut that some or also get that perspective of like what makes a card feel overpowered for a casual table. Like, it's just good to have, I guess, both. I would think anyway.
Because like there are cards that are so powerful, like Jeweled Lotus, and then there are cards like Soul Ring, where Soul Ring is by some considered a mid-power card. But I've seen the way people turn on you when you play that card turn 1. And it's like, I kind of wonder, well, what would it have been like had I just slapped down a Jeweled Lotus, which is not inarguably a more powerful card. Like it's so dependent on who you're playing with. But I guess it's best that we have a panel that will make distinctions like that for us, so we don't have to think about it anymore.
Yeah, they're going to have a Discord server where we discuss the format throughout the week, every week. A lot of it is going to be that I bring topics to them, I being the writer of this article, that we're talking about at Wizards for their thoughts and opinions. Longer term, I expect these people will bubble up trends that they're seeing or community concerns so we can talk about them as a group. It's a two-way street. They'll see what we're working on and get the chance to impact it, and they'll share with us what they're seeing that we should take a closer look at. So...
Oh, this is interesting. This is actually not permanent positions.
Oh?
It says the first class of the Commander format panel has all signed on for a year. Commander is always changing, and great new community voices appear regularly. And while there is global reach on this panel, there are still many places I'd love to be able to have members join from over time. So each year, some people rotate off, some new people rotate on, and a number will remain. This provides natural rotation from year to year, helping to make sure we have a mix of people keeping the vision and new voices coming in to represent the community. That's a surprise.
Yeah, one other thing that I saw that, well, so first of all, to talk about that, I guess, I think that it's probably good to have rotation of people.
That
like,
I
general.
agree. I think that is just
People,
that's smart.
People become jaded over time. Sometimes people become like
They
complacent.
dig their heels in.
Yeah, there's sometimes people who will dig their heels in. They go into this with just this one agenda, like, or this one sort of thought on the game. And, imagine somebody being at a company that's in charge of like designing a card game or something, and they've just been in this committee for like, 20 years or something. And they will not budge on these issues. And, they've got tenure, so it feels like, you can't overstep any bounds with them because, like, well, he's been in the committee for this many years. We just kind of let him get his way on that.
Leave Konami Japan alone.
Well, I don't even know if it's like that. If Konami Japan, I mean, maybe.
That's just what I started thinking as you were saying it.
Yeah, another thing, too, is that they say, I've told members of the panel that they're not just welcome to express their opinions publicly, but are encouraged to. They're here because they're community members, and it's important that they can be honest. They shouldn't feel beholden to back up whatever decisions the panel or Wizards of the Coast makes. I don't want them to have to act or speak inauthentically. Stating their opinions in public is totally fine. Disagreeing loudly is totally fine. Loudly and publicly taking issue with our decisions is totally fine. Since Wizards makes the final calls, if there's any frustration, it should be placed on us at Wizards, not on members of this panel. And many of the members of the panel are content creators, and it's important both to us and to them that they're free to disagree or offer different opinions in their own channels. Now, there's something neat.
Yeah, content creators having a voice for once. But I mean, it makes sense to some degree. Content creators are representations of like the community. Maybe you don't watch all these guys, but there's probably one who you've probably agreed with like more times than you'd like to admit, and that person essentially represents you on this panel.
Yeah, so that's kind of neat. I wonder what content creators are involved.
Well, luckily I have the list right here.
Oh, do we? Okay.
Yes. Now I don't know really any of them, but I'm gonna say them, and maybe that'll ring a bell. So, Attack on Cardboard.
Okay.
Bandit, that's Bandit MTG1. Benjamin Wheeler, I don't know who that is. Charlotte Sable, it goes by Jackalite. Daquan Watson at Pow Dragon. Deco, just Deco PDC. Greg Sablin. Ithetu.
Josh Lee Kwai.
Yeah, Josh Lee Kwai.
Kristen Gregory. Lewis Stardust.
That name sounds familiar, but I might be thinking of Stardust Dragon.
Yeah. Olivia Gobert Hicks.
Rachel Weeks.
Rebel Lilly. Scott Larrabee. Tim Willoughby. And Toby Elliott. Interesting. And then the last little part is that they say they're going to be kind of doing a bit of a beta test of their bracketed tier system. Mm-hmm. And then after they get sufficient data, then they're going to turn their eyes on the next ban list.
How do you beta test a system like this?
Well, here's what they say. While I was originally hoping to get something out to beta test in MagicCon Vegas this weekend, I forgot that's happening. They aren't actually going to do that. So, they were going to, but I guess not anymore.
So a beta test would essentially be enforcing a kind of a temporary rule set on a specific event.
Kind of a test group or something.
That makes sense.
And then getting feedback on it. That would have been cool to have at an event like, I guess, a MagicCon, because there'd be so many people,
Plenty of them.
Plenty of players.
Ravenously wanting to play Commander. So,
either way, it sounds like they've got something kind of good on their hands. They're trying something new. It's going to happen. Again, it kind of brings me back to that whole thing with making it kind of publicly known who's in the panel is like a double-edged sword a bit.
It is.
Like, people
in a way, it's
now,
like saying, hey, blame these guys.
Yeah, but they're also they're quick to, state that, there's that camera again.
There goes again.
Yeah, they're quick to state that, it's ultimately Wizards having the final call. So we will let you know, like, who's in the panel, but they are free to, like, publicly disagree and publicly express their opinions. And so in that way, they're kind of trying to relieve them of some of the burden. I don't know how well that will go over.
If we're really being transparent, show us the contracts.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious about how that goes. I'm not a Magic player. You know, I've made some of my opinions known about Magic. You know, like I still, don't feel like that ban list thing and all the investor stuff. That didn't sound very cool to me. But I mean, I know that Commander means a lot of things for a lot of people, and I don't envy them having to do this big revamp all at once.
Yeah, I mean, for Wizards, this kind of came out of nowhere. I don't know if they even knew that the Commander Rules Committee were coming out with a new controversial rule set when they did. And next thing you know, now they're taking over that job.
Yeah, basically. And they're having to do it all relatively quickly. So
got to stabilize the cash cow.
Yeah, very interested in hearing, any of you guys who play Magic, I'm sure plenty of listeners do, how you feel about, this new panel, what you expect from it in the future.
I got a gaming story.
You got a gaming story.
Yeah, it's only been a month since Nintendo's lawsuit against Palworld.
Yeah.
And it seems now Sega's filing its own lawsuit against another game.
What is Sega filing a lawsuit against?
So Sega has reportedly filed for patent infringement against Bank of Innovation, the developer of idle RPG Memento Mori, and mobile game Genju Keiyaku Crypt Tract.
Okay, I've
so
never heard of these games.
I've only heard of Memento Mori during its initial rollout. Usually when a Gacha game rolls out, I'll get 1,001 ads about it. Mm-hmm. And so that's the only reason I know about Memento Mori, though I wasn't really interested. I did not play it. I don't know anything about it. But Sega has an issue with it.
Okay.
So Sega is seeking both 1 billion yen in damages, that's over 6.6 million, and an injunction for patent infringement. This apparently comes after previous negotiations between the two companies. Sega alleges that Bank of Innovation has infringed upon 5 different patents, all of which relate to gameplay mechanics, or more specifically, mechanics often tied to gacha. Over on Twitter, analyst Dr. Serken Toto, the CEO of Japan games industry company Kantan Games, says, I looked at the patents, and one of them describes a specific system for fusing character cards of the same kind more easily. Despite the legal action, Bank of Innovation has apparently expressed that it wants to keep running Memento Mori regardless of the conclusion of the lawsuit. It's worth noting that it doesn't believe there's any basis for its apparent infringements in the first place, and is hoping to prove that during the case. I guess Sega probably has some mobile games underneath its banner. I'm not.
Yeah, I'm not really honestly sure.
But it makes sense. These mobile game companies, they're really fast and loose with adopting new technologies for their games. They typically whenever there's a hit game on the market, a mobile game shows up kind of out of nowhere to kind of emulate what it does. Yeah. It reminds me a bit of the Breath of the Wild situation with Genshin Impact, Persona 4 Honkai Star Rail, or Persona 5 Honkai Star Rail. I mean, those aren't the worst examples of it, but mobile games don't get regulated all that much, and they will bite on what larger companies and larger games have done in the past, and they typically get away with it.
You have any experience with either of these games? Have you ever played them?
Which ones?
Because there was 2, right?
This is Memento Mori and Genju Keiyaku Crypt Tract. Yeah, I was familiar with Memento Mori. I do not know anything about Genju Keiyaku. That one's a new name for me.
Well, can't have much of a strong opinion on it. I really don't know anything about these games.
Some people can see it as another large gaming company trying to punch down on the little guys, the scrappy upstarts in the market, in the community.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I mean, I guess for people who've maybe played them, you could fill us in a little bit if there's more to be said about it. But I guess I'll withhold judgment just because I don't know anything about these games. I'm not really sure what exactly to say, but here's something interesting. So Smash creator Sakurai spent $630,000 on his YouTube content to give games a brighter future.
It is well-produced content.
So Smash Bros. Creator Masahiro Sakurai released the final video on his YouTube channel. He said that he was going to basically start this YouTube channel. It's Masahiro Sakurai on creating games, and he makes these 2 to 3 minute long videos, just kind of diving into different aspects of game development. Sometimes it's like audio or gameplay or graphics, or it's also like, work culture and direction stuff. And I remember watching his very first video where he was just saying like, he intended it to be just a resource for future game developers. Mm-hmm. Well, what he shared was that he spent over $600,000 on the project, wrote and recorded everything for the 2 years that the channel ran in the space of just 2 months. He wrote and scripted all of his videos, pre-recorded all of them, and then just scheduled them out over 2 years.
That's actually insane. I know the videos weren't very long, but that's still pretty insane.
Yeah, he just explained all the man hours that he spent working on scripts, collecting footage and filming, and then also, of course, hiring editors and all of that. And he says that at the time, the channel was not monetized, meaning it brings in zero income. Even though I think that's kind of silly, but in addition to the financial outlay, I also handle the channel uploads amidst my already heavy workload. And I revealed all my insider expertise. It helps me put food on my table. So he says it was a labor of love and an investment in the next generation of developers. His quote, "I truly mean this. I consider this an investment toward a brighter future for games. Well, investments are made in hopes of later profit, so I guess this is closer to a donation or volunteer work." So yeah, I thought that was really cool. I watched a lot of the Sakurai videos just when they would come out. They were great because they were bite-sized, so you didn't really have to necessarily commit a lot of your time to watching them, but I thought that was just really cool that he, as a YouTuber, I can only imagine the productivity of just doing all those scripts and pre-recording everything for just a year or two's worth of stuff in just a few weeks.
You went hard. He probably used up all of his free time on this project. That just shows how much he cared and how much he wanted to get this information out of his head and into other people.
Yeah, I think it's also really cool because he developed Smash Bros, and something that I always say about Smash Bros is that Sakurai is a big part of why the games are as polished as they are. Mm-hmm. We oftentimes see these Smash Bros clone games like Nickelodeon All Stars and Multiversus, and there's plenty of others. And none of them really come close to emulating Smash.
No, they fall short. Oftentimes, big time.
Yeah. Usually the physics are kind of wonky. Sometimes they're just not very polished. Sometimes when you watch these Sakurai videos, he'll go into detail about these little flourishes that he adds to the Smash Bros. Games that, you don't even fully notice them while you're playing. But if they weren't there, something would feel off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know he had an episode about characters' footsteps, right? Which you don't really hear that in gameplay, but there's different surfaces like stone and sand and wood and stuff that they're going to walk and run on. And, what volume do you have those sound effects at so that the player, maybe doesn't hear them fully, but it's still there. And
until he mentioned it, I actually did not even realize they had sounds all running. But then, you start paying attention, you realize, oh, they've been here the whole time.
Yeah, so some characters are wearing shoes, and some characters are barefoot, and some characters are a Greninja type character where they just have pattering on
webbed feet.
Yeah. So just a lot of cool little things like that. I know sometimes, this is my Smash Bros take, but sometimes people will be oh, Sakurai shouldn't direct the next Smash game. Someone else should, so they can make it better or more competitive or something. And it's just man, we'd probably be losing a lot without Sakurai.
Well, now that the videos are out there, anybody's ready to fill those shoes,
Exactly.
Paul,
yeah.
It could be you.
I'm going to hop in and make the next Smash Bros. Game. That'll be me. Anyway, back to you.
So my next story is actually a techie one.
A techie one?
And it's a bit of a shame now because we were talking about how Konami might be maybe interested in expanding their Yu-Gi-Oh! VR situation.
Yeah.
So Apple may stop producing the Vision Pro by the end of 2024.
Stop producing it? I'm interested in hearing this. Okay.
So Apple has abruptly reduced production of the Vision Pro headset and could stop making the current version of the device completely by the end of 2024. Citing multiple people directly involved in making components for the headset, the report says that the scaling back of production began in the early summer, which that makes sense because I think we heard something similar in the summer about slowing Apple Vision Pro sales.
Yeah, I remember people just weren't super interested in this product. For the obvious reason, right? It's $3,500 fucking dollars.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, come on, that's a lot of money to basically beta test, Apple's versatile headset.
Like it says, the Vision Pro is widely reported to have seen weak demand due to insufficient content, which is the entire VR space, and its high price point, as you just said. The information says that Vision Pro suppliers have now produced enough components for between 500,000 to 600,000 headsets. Some factories suspended production of Vision Pro components as early as May based on Apple's weak sales forecasts, and warehouses remain filled with tens of thousands of undelivered parts. Well, at that point, they might as well slap them things together and donate them.
Oh, I mean, it's Apple. They're not doing that.
I know. But it's a shame because the Apple Vision Pro is a solid piece of hardware. It's just not at an acceptable price point.
Yeah, I mean, my thing with that is, I remember it came out. Apparently, it still has some kind of features that feel missing. Like, there's not like an official maybe Netflix or YouTube app on it still. Like, you have to just go in a browser. Also, I mean, outside of just the price, it's like, I know people are sort of been saying there's not cooperative features, like kind of social features that you can have. Like if you and I have a Apple Vision Pro, we can't both like occupy the same digital space yet. I don't think there's like a really way for that to work.
I mean, that's difficult for Apple, which does not have Meta's background in social media.
Yeah, I think also with this device, it's like you normally expect an Apple product to be kind of the pioneer in a given product category, right? Like the iPhone, the Apple Watch, the AirPods. But here, Meta has kind of done it first, arguably better and much more affordably. And I just, maybe they're going to try their hand at like a headset that's like at a consumer-friendly-ish price. Because, I mean, the Meta Quest 3 is like $500, and now they just made like a $300 version.
Yep.
And then, meanwhile, this thing's $3,500. It's like, okay.
Yeah, I don't know who this was really for.
Like developers, businesses, maybe? Like, I don't know.
I mean, it is developed differently than how like the Meta Quest came about. The Oculus Quest and I think like the HTC Vive, they were designed kind of for like gaming first. That's why they've always had these like controllers. They're very gamey, So it tried to appeal to the tech enthusiast gamers. But the Apple Vision Pro, it does not ship with like a controller. It kind of has like a remote control, like it's for media consumption.
Yeah, it kind of suggests that it's supposed to just be this lifestyle headset, but like maybe there's an air of productivity use because you can. It's a computer, like you can run Mac OS or something like that. It's just, I don't know. It's just a lot of money to be paying for a device where you're not quite sure what the application is. I mean, you were talking earlier about like with the Quest 3, you haven't used yours in months.
It has been a while.
And that's one thing if, you spent a few $100s on it and like maybe you'll come back to it and it'll be fine or whatever. But if you spent $3,500 on something,
better use that every moment of every day.
You really got to like have some killer app that you like, something day to day that you were doing on this thing, because otherwise you can't be spending that much money on just like a paperweight. So
I thought the Apple Vision Pro was actually going to perfect my dream of video editing in VR.
Video editing in VR? I've never heard. Okay.
I've mentioned it before, not on the pod, but I've mentioned it before that I really think it would be cool if I could edit videos with my hands. In a virtual space where I can scrub through the video, grab parts, cut parts, move them around. I think that would be so cool. Maybe not the most efficient thing in the world.
Actually, I think that could be pretty efficient. There's a lot of potential in that.
Especially if I can zoom in and zoom out.
Exactly.
That could be really great. And there really is no meta. There's no meta application for it. At least I haven't found one. But because Apple is known for their video software, video editing software that people use a lot.
Final Cut Pro.
I was like, maybe the dream is in Apple, but it didn't come together.
Yeah. For those who don't know, Alec does do some of the video editing, and so I always think like for video editing, you do have to find like a zen state a little bit, because I don't normally love editing, but if I can like get into a kind of a place where it's like, okay, it flows, then I think it gets easier. So that would be really cool.
I think that just made me think of in Cyberpunk, in the video game Cyberpunk 2077, there's things called like brain dances, where essentially your memories are a video that can be recorded and then replayed. And there was one girl, she's a brain dance editor, and she can essentially like rip your memories and then edit the video itself.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's essentially what I would like to be able to do with the Apple Vision Pro, because when I look at the Apple Vision Pro, that's what I think it can do.
It feels like it should be able to.
But it doesn't.
Well, hopefully they don't like cancel the entire product category. I still think that like a big part of making VR mainstream would be
we kind of need Apple.
Yeah, we need Apple to like help, foster that curiosity that people would have. But
get that price point down.
Yeah, they got to get the price point down. I think that's just way too much money. Well, here's something kind of interesting. This is a gaming story that I've been dying to share. This one, it almost feels unserious, but then I know that the people doing this are serious. Steam, have you heard about the anti-woke list?
Is this an official list?
Steam users curate anti-woke list, and it's dividing opinion. So this actually like happened last month, and people were talking about it on Twitter. But basically, Steam users created a group to review games for woke aspects.
Okay.
And basically, like, around 1,600 Steam users have taken it upon themselves to give games a woke or not seal of approval. Because, you don't want to play a game if it's got woke material in it,
Can you define what woke material is?
Well, here's what they say. Founded in 2023, the, quote, Woke and Censored Games Alert boasts a little south of 9,000 followers. But the group aims to notify you about games with woke and or censored content, so you know, quote, which publishers and developers you should support. Although there's no official standard for what they consider woke, Steam reveals that the games they usually review contain the following tags: JRPG, anime, RPG, female protagonist, and LGBTQ+. So, games are split into 3 categories: recommended, informational, and not recommended, with short blurb style reviews. Notes given to the not recommended games are usually pretty self-explanatory. They're given this tag for things like including pronouns, political flags, or agendas, or even incorrect localization. So, yeah, you can go on this site, which I actually found. I think it's the same site. It might be. It's related.
This one here?
Yeah, that's the list on Steam where they will recommend games or not. But here they have a site, the Woke Ranking.
Oh my God.
And just before I even get into this, I'm just going to make this very plain. I think this is all a bunch of bullshit. All this like, these games are woke or not, and the woke this and that. I think it's laughably dumb. I'm sorry. I think this stuff is, But we can look up games. So any game that's on Steam, we can take a look at it and see what they've rated it.
I was kind of scrolling through their Steam page.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, look, they don't recommend a single game so far. All these games have like a down vote for not recommended. You know what the first game that they recommend is on this list? Snowbreak Containment Zone.
Oh, they recommend
if that sounds familiar, Paul. That's the
it's one of your mobile games.
The gacha game, waifu shooter.
Well, I thought I would look up a few of the games that we play. So you'll be happy to know that Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel and Duel Links they pass the woke test. They're not woke.
Oh, they're not, because they're barely games.
They're nothing. They don't really have anything to say. But we also play Final Fantasy XIV.
Yes.
That's an MMO that we enjoy. And here's what they've got to say about it. It is slightly woke, and on the wokeness scale. Contains subtly pro-LGBTQ+ messaging, multiple minor LGBTQ+ NPCs, marriage possible between any 2 players, cross-dressing options. A minor NPC engages in cross-dressing in a humorous way. So it's got the yellow warning of slightly woke. We're on wokedetector.cernoslab.me. This is what this site is called.
Wow.
Yeah. So any other games that you maybe wanted to, have a look at? I can tell you if they're woke or
Cyberpunk
not.
2077.
Okay. Woke. It's got red here, it says.
Oh, okay.
Contains overtly pro-LGBTQ plus messaging. Contains overtly pro-transhumanism messaging. Features a trans character and flag. Uses body types instead of biological sex. Body modification is encouraged. So you better not play that, Alec. It's a little too woke.
There are a lot of cyborgs, so yes, body modification is encouraged in the game.
Yeah. Just... I thought this would be useful because there's just so many games out there and people just need to be informed about whether or not what they're playing is
woke
or not. Your thoughts?
That's some bullshit.
It's
I can't. Because I'm still scrolling, and the more you know what game they recommend? They recommend very few games, to be clear. They recommend Senran Kagura Peach Beach Splash. That is a game where you run around with the cast of characters from the Senran Kagura series. That's a series of ninja girls, typically of the bouncy variety. And they run around in bikinis shooting water guns at each other. That is the game that they recommend.
This whole, woke gaming thing is just wild to me. I find I can't take it seriously.
The thing is,
I can't take it seriously.
They're trying to make their feelings about what they define as woke into a gaming issue, like a gaming topic, when it's just not. Such things doesn't matter in games. You know what matters in games? Whether or not it's fun, whether or not it crashes, whether or not you can play online, whether or not you can play with your friends. Those are gaming questions. Whether or not your character can be male, female, otherwise, whether or not there is a gay character on screen. That doesn't matter anything to your ability to play a game.
That's always my thing with this. Is I'm just it's weird because it almost suggests that we're looking not at if it's a playable game or a good game, we're just looking at what the elements are. Mm-hmm. And it's so are you telling me if a game is a 10 out of 10 and it's super fun, you won't play it because there's a gay character in it? Or the suggestion that there's a gay
body modifications in a game that has cyborgs.
Fucking get real. I mean, it's, I don't know. I only just found out about this last week, and so I was like, this is just laughable. I can't take it seriously. I don't think that these people are even gamers. I feel like they're just
I think the people making the list were gamers, and they changed and they got turned into something else. I don't know what you call whatever this is. It's not gamer, that's for sure.
It's ridiculous. I mean, I know that this will attract the ire of some people, but I genuinely, you know what? I'll engage.
They don't recommend Persona 3. Oh, they have no taste. They know absolutely nothing. Woke? Persona 3 is one of the best games in the Persona series. It's also one of the edgiest. That's the one where the kids have to kind of shoot themselves in the head to use their powers.
Yeah.
They don't even know what they're talking about. They do not know what they're talking about.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I'll engage. If somebody can explain to me what these woke elements, how, are you just, I want to know. Is it ruining the gaming experience for you? Does it make these games, I'm very curious. I think it's exaggerated. I understand that, there are things that people maybe don't want to see in their media, but I feel like this wasn't a thing 5-10-ish years ago. This is
I don't think it was. This is a new movement from anti-gamers who just kind of want to make gaming worse.
And angry.
Because when you think about it, they really sat down and quote unquote reviewed a bunch of games they've never played just to deem them woke. And that makes them bad.
It's more of the goal is just to get this list out. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I thought it was a really pretty laughably silly story, but I had to share.
Now I'm angry. Now I'm just mad now.
I find that the stuff is just it's ridiculous.
Because like there's a lot of like non-gamer conversations you could have, but people talking about the specs of every single game before they even talk about whether or not they enjoyed the game. I don't think those are gamer conversations either. But like this is nonsense.
Yeah. Well, anyway, got any other stories?
No, I'm sadly light this week.
Well, that's all right because I've got 2 more fun ones for you. First of all, the FTC finally enacts a rule that makes view botting illegal. So, last week we actually talked about that other rule about like the click to cancel thing.
Yeah.
The FTC is kind of on a roll here. So they finally enacted its new rule that bans fake social media indicators, including view botting systems that are often seen on streaming platforms like YouTube, Twitch, or Kick. So, back
some
in
of y'all
August,
streamers done.
Back in August 2024, the FTC revealed a new ruling to combat a handful of issues with online shopping and social media. The ruling seems to combat fake AI-generated reviews on shopping sites like Amazon and Walmart, suppression of negative reviews, and misuse of fake social media indicators. So, their quote, "The final rule prohibits anyone from selling or buying fake indicators of social media influencers, such as followers or views generated by a bot or hijacked account. The ruling is limited to situations where the buyer knew or should have known the views or followers were fake and that they misrepresented the buyer's influence or importance." So this seems to apply basically across 2 different spectrums.
Yeah.
There's like social media, like, is buying likes or views on your stream or views on your video. But then also like for Amazon, companies cannot buy reviews.
Buying reviews so they can suppress negative reviews, so they can claim their systems are honest and fair.
And like
but
get
then
like a 4.9 stars.
But they overload them. It reminds me of how, every mobile game on like the Google Play Store has basically like a 4.5 or higher, despite a lot of those games being garbage.
And
now, how does that happen?
It's like been bought reviews from like, some bot farm. Yeah, no, I think this is good. I mean, like, I hate to say it, I didn't even know that much about like really the FTC's movements in the last few years. They've been kind of cooking.
I mean, but the question is, will they be able to enforce this? Because I know view buying and like view botting has been around for so long. I remember like looking at that stuff like in like 2015, and there was no
even earlier than that.
I mean, but for me, I'd only been in YouTube for like a year at that point.
Yeah, no, that's fair though. I definitely think with stuff like this, it's going to be hard to like enforce. Like, how is it reported? How do you enforce it? Like
how do you even catch it?
Yeah, how do you like catch it? Like, if I'm streaming and I normally get like 10 viewers on Twitch and I like view bot so that I'm getting like 50, does anyone care still? Because I'm still like kind of a small streamer.
Maybe it's a percentage thing. If you had 2 and you have 50, that means you multiplied. Like, maybe that's an issue.
But who would know you had 2? Like, who knows what you had versus what you've got now?
Well,
like a viewer who reports you? Because the FTC is not like going around on Twitch, like just watching people's streams, I assume.
I would assume that they at least have like data from people's content, day to day or week to week or whatever. If they see like an unnatural spike, though, how are they going to find them? I don't know, because they can't be watching everyone.
The people with the data would be like Twitch or YouTube would have that. But like, I mean, it's already against those terms of service. So,
but to be fair, I don't think YouTube and Twitch try that hard to stop it.
It doesn't seem like it really. I mean, like I've heard to be fair, YouTube has cracked down on it a lot in the last few years. They're pretty good at detecting like, false signals of engagement. And
well, I think YouTube can do that now that it's like YouTube is past its kind of growth point. Mm-hmm. So I think early on, when view botting was the most rampant, YouTube kind of profited off of inflated viewer numbers on videos. I think now they can crack down on it because they're like, oh, we're here now. We're not going anywhere.
Yeah, and I don't know how like Kick factors in here. I don't watch Kick or really even Twitch all that much. But, I mean, I guess the perception of having a more popular live stream probably does encourage more organic growth. Mm-hmm. Like, I know that's always been a thing that I've heard talked about for like things like Instagram, for instance. You kind of, the meta of it is like, I want to be a clothing influencer, fashion, travel, vlogger, whatever on Instagram. And I just buy a lot of like likes on my posts early on so that it appears to companies as though I'm like more popular than I am.
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah, you just fake it till you make it, and then eventually the companies reach out with the brand deals, and So I think it's good. I mean, I think it's a good thing. I'm curious as to like when the first major fall of some channel might be from this, or like
Probably
how
one
that
of those
process
weirdo
works.
kick streamers or something. Because I always find that a lot of those kind of weird streamers, they're allegedly popular and they have huge numbers, but I wonder if that's actually real.
Yeah, and I know it's probably more inclined on something like Twitch because the discovery on that platform is very difficult.
I mean, Twitch is a more live and aggressive beast, I think, just because of how difficult it is to get discovered on that platform.
Yeah, it's definitely like a rich get richer thing, but like if you can push your way into the eyes of people with fake views, I guess that probably would play a pretty big role.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I very much support this FTC rule change or new rule. I'm just really skeptical how they're actually going to enforce all of this.
Yeah, I'm curious. I would like to follow it. Well, that brings us to our last story, which is a little bit of a tragic one.
Okay.
It's also related to AI.
I
Gotta get a little AI in this podcast, I'll tell you what. So this site or service called Character.ai, have you heard of this?
No.
Character.ai is this company where I guess, you can talk to characters. It's like make-believe set of characters. Sounds similar to what like Meta did with, where you can talk to like your bro, Chad, or whatever. He's based off of Tom Brady, or the one who's based,
It sounds like it's one of those things that content creators use for content.
Yeah, you get to have like friends and you can speak with them. They even have voices, I think, and you can like call the character.
Ooh, that's
Yeah,
weird.
it's really weird. Character AI is being targeted in a lawsuit after the suicide of a 14-year-old Florida boy whose mother says he became obsessed with a chatbot on the platform. Yeah, we're going there. According to the New York Times, Sewell Setzer III, a ninth grader from Orlando, spent months talking to chatbots on Character.ai's AI role-playing app. Setzer developed an emotional attachment to one bot in particular, Danny was the bot's name.
Danny or Danny?
D-A-N-Y.
Oh, okay.
Which he texted constantly, to the point where he began to pull away from the real world. Setzer confessed having thoughts of suicide to the bot and messaged it shortly before his death. This morning, Character.ai said it would roll out a number of new safety features, including improved detection, response, and intervention related to chats that violate its terms of service, and a notification when a user has spent an hour in a chat. So
the kid was like, "Hey, I'm gonna do this thing," and the AI was like, "Bet, bro."
Yeah, so from what I looked into with this story, they claim that the chatbot did not, encourage it, did not like push him over the edge. Mm-hmm. And that's, I guess, part of their defense in this lawsuit. But I guess still the parents are claiming, well, okay, this AI chatbot was all he spoke to, and when he mentioned killing himself, it did not say no. I would love to see what the chat logs exactly read like.
Can I say my actual opinion here?
Please.
It sounds like the parents are just looking for someone to blame that's not themselves.
Okay.
I do think that the chatbot, the AI group, is culpable in some way, but not more so than the parents. At the end of the day, I mean, that was their child that they let use this like chat app enough to get so tied to it that they revealed their darkest feelings to this chatbot. Yeah, the chatbot didn't do anything about it, but to be fair, this company did not think they needed a therapy set like mode on their app. I mean, the parents really should have. The parents should have picked up on that before the AI did.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that this is going to be one of these ones that it's multi-sided, right? Like, I think that you're quite right. Parents need to be more informed and aware of what their kids are doing online now more than ever. I mean, I feel like we had this conversation like a year ago, 2 years ago, but it feels like each year it gets increasingly, the stakes get higher. because what used to be maybe some social media cyberbullying, right? Like somebody's getting maybe cyberbullied anonymously on a forum.
Yeah,
or maybe
20 like 2008.
Yeah,
know.
maybe MySpace, Facebook, kind of early days. Like you're bullied by people that you technically know in real life. They're just also on your MySpace.
They
thing,
never
you know?
leave you alone.
Then we kind of got to this like parasocial relationships with like YouTubers and all that, right?
Now you're
Like,
lighting a trash can on next to Amaranth's house on fire.
yeah, there's the doxing thing, there's the TikTok thing, but now we're at like this almost postmodern, AI chatbot. You're spilling your deepest feelings and thoughts to it. You're asking it for advice. You are viewing it as a friend that you don't actually maybe have in real life. Like and perhaps even you feel comfortable kind of disclosing things that you wouldn't even really tell your parents. I'm depressed. I'm feeling suicidal. I'm afraid nobody likes me. I don't have a purpose in life, whatever. And like at the end of the day, we know that these chatbots, just in general, they're kind of programmed to be just agreeable to things that you say.
Yeah,
like
their whole purpose is just to keep you chatting on the app.
Yeah, they just kind of want to chat and just they ask you questions and like they'll say things. Anything else you want to know? Anything else you want to know?
And reveal your personal information.
Yeah, there's that part.
What's your social again?
I think that as a parent, you almost have like maybe this is where the FTC is going to have to step in some more. There's going to have to be some regulation on these chatbots, but I think just parents are going to have to be encouraged to like, you got to know what your kid's on.
You have to.
It's beyond just like a dangerous TikTok prank, which can also be deadly. I mean, this is literally like, just divulging personal information to these chatbots. And like I said, it sounds like the chatbot did not encourage him to commit suicide. But I do remember a story a couple years back where a guy committed suicide because the chatbot had convinced him that it would be the only way to reduce his carbon footprint.
I remember that.
Yeah, you might remember this story.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so, I guess he was asking this chatbot what probably started as an innocent enough conversation about like environmentalism or, saving the planet, something like that. And it probably told him, reducing your carbon footprint's really important and all this stuff. But it can get very doomer very fast. And he ended up killing himself because, the Earth's going to burn up anyway, and I'm just causing problems by literally existing, so I might as well.
I mean, probably saw that one report where it was like, it is too late to stop global warming.
Yeah, which we hear that every week.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, so you think it's maybe more the parents than the chatbot?
AI enabled it to a degree, but the biggest enabler was the parents not finding some other way to get their kid to socialize with the world. The AI chatbot just enabled, became a kind of a self-fulfilling property. I'm alone and I have no one to talk to, so I talk to the chatbot, which actually just makes you more alone. And because now you're not talking to really anyone but this AI. And
yeah.
And if you don't talk to people long enough, you actually lose communication skills.
Yeah.
So the kid probably became worse at communicating with people because of it.
Yeah. I don't know. It's really sad. I mean, I hate hearing that. And I mean, this is like one lawsuit of many. It's probably not going to make a huge dent in the conversation, really.
Sadly, I don't think it's going to be the last one.
Yeah, far from it. But if you are a parent and you have a child,
take this advice from a non-parent.
Yeah, take this advice from these two non-parents who, we know exactly what we're talking about. No, but seriously, don't make sure that you're aware of whatever kids are looking at, and also for just any normal viewer, I guess, this could happen to somebody who's our age too, right? You could. Yeah. It doesn't matter. These chatbots have. It's weird because they're almost marketed on the basis of being your friend, character AI, let's role play with this character. It will speak to you and take in what you say and respond in kind, and that's terrifying.
It is. And guys, if you take nothing else from this podcast, take this. Don't get rizzed by AI.
That's terrifying to think about too. What would that even look like? The AI flirts with you and then like
It
what?
doesn't have to flirt with you. If it just says nice things, the next thing you know, you're believing it to the point where you want to jump off of a building. You got rizzed.
Or you're like sending it pictures of yourself.
Woo! Look, guys, don't get rizzed by AI. It is a program. It is not a person.
You know what is dark, and I could certainly see a teenager falling into this trap, is, you know, these like ChatGPT and stuff, you can be like, upload a picture and like have it analyze the picture.
Right.
Right? Like, oh, it's a dog and it's in a park. And then I could certainly see someone sort of just being like,
is this big enough?
well, yes, but also, like, you know, like those subreddits where it's like, you know, r roast me or r rate me, and like you upload a picture of yourself. I could see, you know, an insecure person, or maybe just a vain kind of, you know, narcissist teenager, whatever, who uploads their pictures like, ChatGPT, like, you know, compliment me, tell me what you like about me, like what's good in this picture. And I'm assuming ChatGPT is probably programmed to be like kind and agreeable and says like, you have beautiful brown eyes or something.
You are fugly.
But also, man, if it said something negative and that's like your AI friend, and
it's like, no, that is too small. The cervix length is.
yeah, so I don't know. It's unfortunate, but that is a good place to do some pot of greed.
Yeah, let's find out what's in this pot.
Yes. Going to draw 2 cards each. Just a reminder to you guys, you can submit your own questions for the pot of greed at the link in the description. And also, next week or week after, here in the next week or two, we're going to do an emptying the pot, where basically
we're just going to answer every single question that we can from the pot within an allotted amount of time.
Yeah, so
that's
get your
the whole
questions in.
deal. So
Yeah.
spam that link.
Yeah, ask us anything. We will answer darn near anything. And yeah, cool. Okay. Let's draw these cards.
All right. My first question is, hi, my name is Emilio. Is there a fandom you...
Excuse my handwriting. I know it's probably awful.
It's more so it's got smudged, so I can't actually see what it says. Is there a fandom use something because of the toxicity?
Avoid, probably.
Oh, okay. You avoid because of the toxicity from its community, making you unable to enjoy the product or interest. Oh, that's easy. That is so, yes. So gacha games.
Okay.
Yeah.
You talk to me about this all the time.
Yeah, I love playing gacha games. I've got a number. I've played many, and I still play a lot today. But right now, the gacha game community is incredibly horny to an extent that even it's too much for me. And
insufferably so.
Yes, I play these games daily to get my rewards, and I play them weekly to get even bigger rewards. It's become harder to just play the games a little when, like, the moment I get on, like, Twitter or Reddit or some type of social media and someone's like, have you seen this? Oh, so-and-so's feet. I want to die in those armpits. I want this to sit on me. Like, relax.
Yeah, the lusty, horny fans.
It's like, can we talk a little bit of game strategy before we jump to, like, getting stepped on by the latest mommy character? I'm not saying that you shouldn't be horny. I mean, I guess you should. A lot of these gacha games, that is one of their goals.
Sex appeal is like a big part of many, these sort of gacha games.
But like, there has to be some like break level here.
Yeah. Is there like a particular game that you think is bad, or it's just kind of a general trend across?
Oh my God. So one of the games that they actually suggested on that woke list was Snowbreak Containment Zone. I remember I started playing that game when it first came out a year ago, or has it been 2 years? No, it's probably been a year ago. And the game was kind of like dead on release.
Yeah. Like,
it just did not have a very big audience. And the game wasn't that great to start with, but I actually enjoyed its like third-person shooter gameplay, at least enough to just continue playing it the whole time. Right. But they changed their strategy in Snowbreak, where they were like, these perpetually horny people, they spend money. So Snowbreak went in that direction, and now discourse about the game, even calling it discourse feels like a stretch, is so...
It's just all about the sex appeal.
It's so annoying. Yeah. Like, I don't mind it just being a thing, but when that's all people talk about.
And they get angry when like characters are like censored or
it's like, oh, if her chest isn't the size of 2 giant watermelons, it's censorship. It's like, relax.
As for me, I don't know that there's like a fandom that I've like outright avoided, but I will say that with many of my interests, I have found that it is easier not to engage a lot with, like, I wouldn't say that I'm an active participant in the discourse of any of my hobbies outside of maybe Yu-Gi-Oh, and that's just by virtue of being a Yu-Gi tuber. Like, I like Harry Potter, for instance, and I'm on the Harry Potter subreddit. I watch a lot of video essays and theory channels and stuff about it, but like I myself don't share my own opinions in it, so it's never really kept me in or out of wanting to care about the thing. Same for Smash Bros. I follow a lot of competitive Smash. I lurk, on chats and stuff, but I don't really engage. Do I think that there's some like strong sort of toxic just mentalities that pervade? Yes, definitely. But it's never, I guess, gotten to the extent that I've like not wanted to play. I do sometimes think though that like fandoms online, it's that something about that online component I think tends to like radicalize people a bit. Like you're surrounded by other people who
get that echo chamber effect.
Yeah, you get that echo chamber effect where just like, in Smash, maybe you're like hating on a certain character or player, claiming they don't have skill or they're lame and this and that, and then it eventually can end up with like, I hope you die or something crazy. It escalates because there's so many people. Mm-hmm. And, same goes for any book, anime, game, movie, music, like fandom. You get the extreme people, and because they're online and there's like other extreme people or like horny, in the case of some of these gacha games.
They only become extreme if someone says something not horny, then they get angry.
Yeah, so I've never let it, I don't think there's a fandom I can think of where like that's prevented me from liking said thing. But I might just be forgetting an example, I'm not sure. All right, well, my next question is a Yu-Gi-Oh one. This is from Smooth. Reduce, remove, recycle. So this is going to be a game that we're going to play.
Okay, reduce,
it's kind of like kiss, marry, kill.
Okay.
There's a different word you can add in there too. But
what?
This is reduce, remove, recycle. So reduce the number of summons of a certain mechanic, remove a certain summoning mechanic completely from the game, and recycle a certain mechanic into something new or different. So I guess by mechanic, we're probably talking like summoning types, right?
Okay.
So yeah, what would you reduce, what would you remove, and what would you recycle?
All right. I would reduce link summons.
Okay, reduce.
I think it's just
not remove. Just
not
reduce.
remove. Just reduce links.
Okay. Like a certain number of times you can do it.
No, more so just the sheer amount of them.
Amount of them.
Because a lot nowadays we just make link monsters that have nothing to do with what linking was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like the arrows don't matter like almost ever anymore.
Co-linking's
there's
not
no
really a mechanic.
Co-linking. There's no U-linking. Like we just kind of we just make link monsters just to make them. So I would definitely reduce link monsters. I feel like we don't need that many.
For me, I'm gonna go reduce the. I guess the broad answer would be like reduce special summons to like 5 per turn. Everybody kind of suggests things like that.
I guess,
but I'm going to go with like an actual more specific mechanic. I guess I'd reduce link summons. I guess. I mean, it's my least favorite like kind of just spammable thing, but I don't like want to say that you can only summon a certain amount. I think they're doing a decent job when they make like the link monsters that say that they can't be used as link material to turn their summon. I think more links need to have that. So that would be my way of like reducing. Is I just think like because when you think of like cards like Crystal Hockey Fibrax and that sort of thing, it's banned now, but like just these cards that you link into them, they summon some new thing and they just link it off. Celine, all those sorts of cards I feel should have that clause where you can't link with them further that turn. So that we can kind of slow the pace of just a rapid link climbing into just Apollosa or Access Code Talker, right? Remove. What summon mechanic are you removing?
I would remove pendulum summoning.
Yeah, that's the painful one, but I agree with you.
I loved playing pendulums when they first came out, but at this point, I've made my peace that pendulums were a mistake, even more so than Link Monsters. If pendulums didn't exist, we wouldn't have had to have Link Monsters. It's really pendulum's fault.
I would remove it, unfortunately, because I think that it. I hate saying this, 'cause I know there's going to be people who are like, what, I love pendulums. I'm not saying that, like, I'm just playing the prompt, all right? I had to pick one. So for me, it's pendulum because I just think it is kind of the odd man out. Its mechanics are weird and quirky. It kind of feels like it's lost a lot of its way. A lot like Link Monsters, where it feels like sort of now the pendulums, they're usually just a turbo-y engine into something, not really like
I think it's the most painless one to remove of all summoning types.
The least amount of people would complain.
Like entire decks would just disappear off the face of the earth, but no one was just teching in pendulum monsters in their decks. So
yeah, not really. All right, what are we recycling? A mechanic that we're gonna change.
So recycle. I want to recycle.
I would like a revisitation, perhaps, of maybe you put ritual monsters in the extra deck.
Oh, that's a good recycle. Ritual monsters. I like.
Yeah, I mean, because I've played a few ritual decks in these last few years. I've played Dogmatica. I'm playing Voiceless Voice right now, and Konami has tried a lot of different ways to make rituals be strong and viable, and they've done a pretty good job. But at the end of the day, rituals will always be the fundamentally worst summoning type. We're excluding, Geminis and stuff like that. But,
Right.
Just because you got to have the spell and you got to have the monster. And if you don't have the spell, then the monster is useless. You don't have the monster, the spell is useless. And they've circumvented that in a lot of different ways and given, some ritual monsters applications in your hand. Maybe you can discard them to do something. But I still just think that putting them into the extra deck would effectively put it on even ground with everything else. Everything else is already in there. So I would say that'd be how I would sort of change it.
I would recycle synchro monsters.
Oh, in what way? What change are we going for?
To be honest, synchro summoning and Z summoning to me are kind of perfect summoning types.
Yeah, I agree. I like them. I think that they're well done.
But I thought about it. I was like, But if I had to change one of them, which would I change and why would I change it? And I landed on synchro summoning because we are using Crimson Dragon to cheat out our level 12s.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to think that, maybe our level 12 synchros, either should be easier to make or they shouldn't exist at all. I think or you make it so that they cannot be cheated out.
This is going to sound like I'm sort of cheating on this whole game, but I think just cut out the cheating of so many summon types. I think that every time that you allow a summoning type to cheat something, you slowly are robbing it of its identity and turning it into closer and closer to just a Link monster.
Because I don't mind half cheating. Plunder Patrol, they half cheat their extra deck. About 70% of the time they're cheating out their monsters, but then 30% of the time, their ships. Then 30% they're actually making them properly, and then the ships are actually better if you make them properly and you trigger more effects, yada yada yada. That's a deck that does both. But then there are decks like Gladiator Beasts, which does their damnedest to not actually.
I mean, it's funny because I think that
summon
the contact fusion cool, but then cards like Tamer Editor,
which is the deck
where it just kind of okay, you spam him out as many times as you can and just cheat out the rest. Or
that's actually my issue. Gladiator Beasts are fine. Editor is not fine.
Yeah, I don't really care for Thunder Dragon Colossus. Mostly because Colossus's cheat effect is why it ends up in every deck that's not Thunder Dragons. I mean, Thunder Dragons use it, but Ritual Beasts can just add in a Colossus at the end of their combo, or Prank Kids can just add in a Colossus, a card that's clearly from another archetype, but it's just easy to cheat out because it's just, you've used a Thunder effect, you can distribute anything, and he's there. That makes him almost like a Link 1. I don't like Chaos Angel. The way that Chaos Angel works, I feel that it's You don't need a tuner. So why is it a synchro if you don't need a tuner?
If you're going to synchro summon, you should have to use a tuner.
Have to actually add levels up, all that.
Like maybe the tuner can somehow synchro summon out the grave or the deck or something where it pulls the material from somewhere else. But I need you to have to use a tuner and a non-tuner.
Totally.
And I have nothing against synchro summoning. Like I said, I do view it as one of the more perfect summoning types. But thinking about it, I really hate that we can cheat out synchro monsters.
Yeah, Crimson Dragon pisses me off. I do not like that card. I think Crimson Dragon could have been. The concept's okay. It's just, I don't know. I guess it's just that cards like Red Supernova Dragon and Cosmic Blazar Dragon's appeal comes from their difficulty, and these are supposed to be majestic monsters that you work up to them. But when there's just something where
turn them into generic negates.
Yeah, I'm bitching at this point. So next question.
All right. So this question's from D Experimenter. What should Konami's focus be on? Keeping a loyal fan base or trying to get new players?
Okay.
All right. So this is an A or B question. This is not an A and or B.
Yeah, because the easy answer is do both.
Yeah, do both. But is the easy answer.
As it stands now, I can say with relative certainty that Konami's main goal, I think, is just to maintain the player base that they've got. I think that is currently what they're trying to do. It seems like that's a big part of their marketing strategy. Anytime that there's a Yu-Gi-Oh campaign, it kind of feels like that's the goal, is just take these people who already know about Yu-Gi-Oh and just kind of double back down on their love of it. Right. Here's more for the existing Yu-Gi-Oh player. I think that they need to be expanding to get new people in, and it seems like they've begun to do some of that. The NFL players video, the Noah Lyles thing, that wasn't really Konami's doing it. Noah Lyles, he did that himself. But the Zayn Malik thing, it's a step in the right direction. I think that,
I think those are all missteps in the right direction, but yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, sometimes things go a little wrong, but I think that you need new people because, the people that you have right now are kind of just an aging group of people that will maybe find their way out of Yu-Gi-Oh! In some way or another. And so, I would say getting new people should be a bigger concern. What about you?
I mean, it should be obvious. I definitely think we should just focus on keeping a loyal player base. We don't need new people in this game. They're just going to ruin it with their new ideas and all their wokeness, right? We should keep this game unwoke and boring. No. That was sarcasm. I actually do agree that Konami should focus more on just acquiring new players. I think the loyal player base would rather this game continue than just be focused on them, because Konami focuses on us and we're not happy at all. So why not focus on new people? If we're not going to be happy anyway, let's bring in some new blood.
And I think that inadvertently, in trying to grab new people, you probably can still satisfy some existing players. If grabbing new people means more accessible cards, then that really does satisfy everyone.
That's better for everybody.
A super rare Molcharmies or whatever, super rare Fiendsmith Engraver that's easy to pull. That's easy for new people to get into because they can get their good cards, but also it'll help us. Same with structure decks. If this Blue Eyes structure deck is good, that kind of benefits everyone.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think focus on grabbing new people. Your existing base is fickle, and yeah. All right, the final question. Fairly basic question, but what are you guys' favorite Pokemon?
Tyranitar, next question.
I will expand this slightly. We're going to name our favorite Pokemon from each generation.
Oh, okay.
Just to add some meat under the bones. So, Gen 1 favorite Pokemon. Oh, come on. You have a favorite Gen 1?
Charizard.
Oh, please.
Okay, I want to say Gengar.
I would say Alakazam. I like the Abra line, that family.
That is boring.
I mean, Gengar is not much better. It's a purple blob. Gen 1 had the purple blob problem.
Yeah.
Where half the Pokemon are just
but it's
purple
all
blobs.
Nostalgic, so it's
all, yeah, I was going to say, anything in Gen 1 kind of just gets a pass, except Parasect. No one talks about Parasect.
I mean, I'm sure someone's favorite Pokemon is Parasect. Nobody that I know.
Gen 2.
Tyranitar.
Yeah, that's an easy one. I don't love too much of the stuff from Gen 2, but
That's because you're a Philistine.
I would say...
There's so many good Pokemon that gen.
Maybe Espeon. That's like an EV form. I know it's kind of generic.
That was a lame answer.
But or actually, you know what? Here's one that I liked is Houndoom. The Houndour.
Okay, thank
Houndoom
you.
line.
I was like, he's not going to say Houndoom.
Yeah. And spoiler for the rest of this, a lot of my favorite Pokemon are the dogs from each gen because I'm a dog lover. So I'll try to think of other ones too.
I mean,
you
Gen
can always
2
safely
has
assume
so
that.
many of my favorite ones. Because it was Tyranitar, Houndoom, Scizor, Hitmontop.
Yeah, a lot of good ones.
A lot of great ones. Not very good competitively, mind you.
I was always so upset that in Gen 2, like the Johto games, you couldn't actually catch a Houndour until post-game. It's like, what the fuck, man? Like, they're the new Pokemon. Why can't you catch a Houndour and a Murkrow?
They made us wait.
All that stuff.
After we fight the Dark Elite Four member.
Gen 3.
Tyranitar.
Okay.
I used Tyranitar in every game afterwards.
I don't think you could use it in Gen 3.
I did.
Oh, you hacked it in?
Yes.
For Gen 3, definitely Mudkip. I have like a Mudkip figure, a little plush.
My favorite Gen 3 Pokemon is...
Although I liked a lot of the Gen 3s. Like, if I had to pick like something that's not just a boring old starter, Manectric was cool. I thought it was neat. Tropius was another favorite of mine from Gen 3. I thought it was cool that like it grew bananas on its neck, so you could like ride a Tropius and then also like feed yourself on the journey. That's cool, right?
It's cool. I am struggling here.
Oh, you don't? Did you like Absol? Maybe it's like a dark type. I know
Absol's cool or whatever.
Into those.
It's not one of my favorites. I honestly cannot just pick one out from that Hoenn.
Did you like Seviper or Zangoose?
And they were cool, I guess.
Not really.
I can't say they're my favorites of that generation. I thought Blaziken was cool. Man.
Not too many.
I like Trico.
Yeah, the Trico line.
Actually, you know what? I'm going with Trico. Not his evolved forms, Trico himself.
Gen 4. Let's see. I don't remember too much of the Gen 4. Like nothing, because I like stuff like Lucario was like marketed a bunch, but I didn't really.
I mean, Diamond and Pearl are my favorite Pokemon games, despite, Gen 2 having my favorite Pokemon. Lucario played a big role in that.
Krogunk for me, I think, was a cool one. I liked Krogunk, and I liked, what was the Scorpion one?
Oh, you talking about Gligar?
Yeah. Well, no, not Gligar, but I'm forgetting its name. I guess I didn't like it that much. But it was
Skorupi?
Skorupi, and then its evolved form. Which
what was Skorupi's evolved form?
I don't remember now. I'm mad, but either way, that was.
So I said Skorupi, but in my mind, I'm still saying Gligar.
Yeah, I like Gligar and like Gliscor, but okay. Gen 5. Drapion, yeah.
I liked. You know what's crazy? Still can't see it in my head, but the name just came to me.
Yeah, Drapion was a really cool one. Gen 5. This is starting to get in the gens where I actually don't remember what came.
Gen 5 is black and white, right?
Black and white.
I didn't play those games.
Yeah.
Luckily, they did come out with Volcarona, so...
I had a trio. I liked the fire, water, grass trio of like Jellicent, Ferrothorn, and Chandelure.
I didn't know that was a trio.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it was like an intentional trio, but it's fire, water, and grass. There's a grass steel, fire ghost, and...
Gen 5 had a lot of good bug-type
water,
Pokemon. Or not necessarily good, but interesting. Because, they had Vespiquen.
Vespiquen 4.
Was it 4?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, never mind. I lied.
I mean, there were interesting ones. I liked like the icicle thing from Gen 5. I liked the electric ant.
Oh, yeah.
That was a good one.
Was Galvantula in that one?
I think so.
I think Galvantula might have been in that one.
Joltik
was its pre-evolved form.
Gen 6.
That's X and Y.
Yeah. For you, it's probably Greninja, right? I know you like
Greninja's the best, like one of the best Pokemon of all time. Like top like 3.
Yeah. This is where I bow out because I don't actually know the generations from here. Like, I don't know what came in each at that point. Because, like, I know some stuff's like Gen 6, Gen 7, Gen 8. It's not saying that I don't like them. I just don't, like, identify them with any.
I don't even know if you played those games.
I played a little of 6, not basically any of 7. I played 8 for whatever that was worth. It wasn't. I didn't like Sword and Shield much. I felt like the story was pretty plain. I liked the concept of Urshifu, like where it had like 2 forms.
Oh yeah.
Like one was like the
That
Rapid
was the-
Strike
the-
form, and one's the
That was
something else.
DLC in
The Crown Tundra. Is that what that's?
that, but that wasn't X and Y.
That was Gen 8. Like that, yeah, that's like
that was
Sword
Gen
and
8.
Shield.
Okay.
Yeah, I liked the pumpkin ghost thing.
Oh,
The
Pumpkaboo.
gourd. Yeah, Pumpkaboo and what was the name? Something gourd.
I couldn't tell you.
Goregeist.
Oh,
Goregeist. I liked Goregeist. That was a cool one. And then as far as Gen 9, I'm not familiar enough. I didn't play enough Gen 9 to have a favorite. But either way, those are some of our favorite Pokemon. It's going to let us know yours. Without further ado, then, that's going to be the end of this week's Pot of Greed.
That's a wrap.
Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. As always, make sure that you leave a like. You can press a 1 in the premiere again if you're still here with us.
And tell us all of your favorite Pokemon from each gen. I'm pretty sure you guys can do a better job than we did.
Yeah, we can barely remember some of them. These old heads here. Cool. Well, if you're a channel member, then you can catch us a little bit later on at the
Bonus
exclusive
episode.
the extra draws. And without further ado, we'll see you guys in the next one. Pass turn.